Welcome back to my 5th episode of EHPN. A lot of things have happened this week, and let's get into it right away. First, Matt Cain with the 22nd perfect game in Major League Baseball, first in Giants history. It was an unbelievable experience. I mean, I didn't think he was going to do it. Every pitch, every ground ball, every fly ball, your heart stopped. I mean, it was just, you couldn't leave your seat. I got to give a lot of credit to Cain and the fielders because they kept their composure. Cain, he looked like it was nothing. And this is why these guys are professionals. If it was me out there, I do not want the ball hit to me because I know I would screw it up. I know I would. I mean, this is why you gotta just appreciate these players. I mean, you see his defense, like Blanco, that amazing diving play. Arias fielding those tough ground balls. I mean, when Arias made that bobble, I thought, okay, Castro's gonna beat the throw. Arias was able to throw him out by a long shot. But again, I mean, these guys are, it just makes me appreciate the game more. When these players have to be clutch, a lot of them do come through. And Arias, even though he's not a great player, it showed a lot of personality in him, the way he just was able to throw him out or just field the ball easily. But of course, you gotta give the most credit to Cain. Cain is one of the most underrated pitchers in baseball. I mean, I'm sick of hearing about Sabathia, Cliff Lee, Roy Halladay, Verlander. What about Cain? I mean, Lincecum, you hear more about it. Don't get me wrong, I like Lincecum, he's a great pitcher, but right now he needs to tune up his mechanics a little bit. Cain has always been the most consistent pitcher that the Giants have had. In the playoffs, he didn't give up one earned run. And it did get talked about in the Bay Area media, but outside, you didn't hear much about it. I mean, this guy is 4th in strikeouts, 4th in ERA, and number 1 in WHIP in the major leagues right now. He is obviously one of the elite pitchers in baseball right now, but again, he doesn't get talked about much. He's been the most reliable pitcher. He's a horse. I mean, he was pitching mid-90s after 120 pitches. Not many pitchers could do that. The way he was able to keep his composure during all 27 outs, I mean, that is amazing. To me, that is the hardest thing to do. Those last 3 outs or even every out. To me, that's more nerve-wracking than the World Series because in the World Series or the playoffs, you're just worried about giving up runs. You could give up hits and walks, but as long as they don't cross the plate, it's okay. But in a perfect game or even a no-hitter, you gotta be perfect or not even allowed a hit. I mean, to me, that is the hardest thing to do in baseball. And, hats off to Matt Cain. And, I think he should win the Cy Young this year if he continues this. Obviously, he's not gonna pitch perfect games all the time, but, he's good. He is a dominant pitcher now. The Giants have had great pitchers throughout their history. Christy Mathewson, Juan Marichal, Gaylord Perry, Tim Lincecum even. And they didn't pitch no perfect game. Matt Cain did, and it just showed a lot. He's able to mentally, keep his composure. And, that just shows a lot in a pitcher because baseball is all mental to me. Now, let's, playoff game. The Miami Heat defeated the Oklahoma City Thunder yesterday in Game 2. It was a tough loss. Oklahoma started slow. You could tell they weren't as aggressive. Miami came out of the gate hard. You could tell LeBron, Wade, all of them were driving in. They were driving hard to the rack, and they were scoring. Obviously, Oklahoma needs to make some adjustments. One thing I feel like they need to do, because Cephalosha should not be a starter. I mean, he's a great defender. He's like a poor man's Bruce Bowen. But he should not be a starter because what good is a defender if Oklahoma gets to a slow start like they did yesterday? I think they should start James Harden. Once they start James Harden, if they get that offensive explosiveness from Durant, Westbrook, and Harden, you have your defense with Ibaka and Perkins. So you just need to have, you need to start hard off the gate. Because Miami, they will. They are aggressive. If Oklahoma has enough points, then I think you could put Cephalosha in for defense. I mean, Durant, I think, is doing a good job against LeBron, and Cephalosha is too, but, you need points to win games, and, yesterday that didn't happen. So, I would put Cephalosha, when Oklahoma has a decent lead, or they're down by, less than 5 points or less. Or, if you need that big fourth quarter stop, Cephalosha's the guy. Other than that, Harden needs to start. I mean, he's the one who kept them in the game when Durant and Westbrook were in foul trouble and struggling. Now the officiating, I mean, this is the championship game. Officials cannot be missing these calls, these obvious calls, the goaltending, the last shot that LeBron was all over Durant's chest. I mean, you know, Durant would have tied that game up. And I don't know why the officials are missing these calls. I mean, these calls are obvious. Anybody could have seen that. This, again, I mean, these guys are professionals. They need to find, you know, they need to get these calls right, because, you know, you don't want a team to win because of the bad officiating. And I don't know if if Oklahoma would have won if that foul was called, but at least it would have probably gone into overtime. So hopefully, you know, in game 3, officials are right on point. You know, my prediction for the championship, I think it'll go at least 6. I think Oklahoma has a good chance of winning. But again, they need to make adjustments because, you know, Miami is experienced. They have the experience in the championship. That whole team does almost. Oklahoma, this is the first time for many of these guys. I mean, you have Fisher and Nazr Mohammed, but, you know, they're not the star players of the team. So that's where, you know, Durant, Westbrook, and Harden, they're going to be tested and see what happens. And I think they have a good chance, but again, they need to make adjustments. You know, on the defensive end, I say big part is the offensive end. If you get Harden in there, no, he's not as good of a defensive player as Sepulosha, but at the same time, you need the points. You need the points against an explosive offense like Miami. And lastly, you know, I'll be brief about this. Pacquiao and Bradley. I mean, that is disgraceful. I mean, maybe the judges are trying to get back at Pacquiao for what happened with the last fight before, but it was obvious that Pacquiao won. Everybody, every single different newspaper, the Associated Press, etc., their scorecard said that Pacquiao should have won. Every single one of them. You know, who knows? It could have been a conspiracy about the casinos that, you know, they're hurting during these hard economic times. So, okay, you know, everyone's going to bet on Pacquiao, including me. I betted on Pacquiao. I thought, okay, you know, I'm going to win guaranteed money. And all of a sudden, I see Bradley wins, and it's like, how? How did that happen? Now, I'm not saying Bradley's a bad fighter, but obviously in this fight, he did not deserve to win. And I'm sure when they rematch, Pacquiao's going to kick the crap out of him, and it's going to be an obvious win. So, you know, it's been a very eventful sports week, and I'm very excited to, you know, get this going again. And thank you for watching, and I'll see you guys in my next episode.